The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council buzzed with activity. Aliens of all shapes and sizes filled the room. Some had tentacles, others had multiple eyes, and a few even floated in the air. In the center, a circular platform held the most important members. Today was special. Earth, the home of humans, was presenting its military force to the Council. The human ambassador, John Smith, stood nervously at the edge of the platform. He wore a crisp blue suit and held a small device in his hand. Honored members of the Council, John began, his voice shaking a little. Earth is proud to show you our new space fleet. He pressed a button on his device. A hologram appeared, showing Earth's ships. There were about 20 vessels, mostly small and boxy. One larger ship floated in the center, clearly the flagship. For a moment, the room was quiet. Then a loud laugh broke the silence. It came from Zork, the representative of the Glorbans. Zork was a large purple alien with 4 arms and a mouth full of sharp teeth. "You call that a fleet?" Zork boomed. "My people's fishing boats are more impressive." More laughter filled the room. John's face turned red, but he tried to stay calm. "Our ships may be small," he said, "but they are strong and fast." This time, it was Stelia of the Luminars who spoke up. She was a being of pure energy, glowing softly in shades of blue and green. "Oh, little human," she said in a voice like tinkling bells. "You don't understand. Your species is so young. How can you hope to compete with races that have traveled the stars for millennia?" John opened his mouth to respond, but no words came out. He looked around the room, seeing amusement on most faces. Graktho, a rock-like creature from a heavy gravity world, rumbled next. "Have your people even left your own star system yet? Perhaps you should stick to your own planet for now." The hologram flickered as more council members joined in. "Look at those designs. Did they let their younglings draw them? I bet those ships would fall apart if they tried to jump to light speed. Humans are barely out of their stone age. They should focus on not destroying their own world first." Each comment felt like a stab to John. He had hoped for support, or at least respect. Instead, he was facing ridicule from the most powerful beings in the galaxy. Suddenly, a deep voice cut through the laughter. It belonged to Krull, the eldest member of the council. Krull was ancient, with skin like wrinkled bark and eyes that held the wisdom of ages. "Enough," Krull said firmly. The room fell silent. "We were all young once. Let us not forget our own early days among the stars." Krull turned to John, who stood straighter under the ancient being's gaze. "Human," Krull continued, "your people are new to our galactic community. You have much to learn, but do not be discouraged by the words you have heard today. Every great journey begins with a single step." John nodded gratefully. "Thank you, Elder Krull. We know we have far to go, but we are eager to learn and grow." Krull's words had calmed the room, but John could still see smirks and hear whispers. The damage was done. Earth's military had been laughed at by the galaxy's greatest powers. As the session ended, John walked slowly back to the Earth Embassy. His head was low, his shoulders slumped. How would he report this to his superiors? How could Earth ever gain respect in the galaxy now? Little did John know, his report would spark a fire in the hearts of Earth's leaders. The mockery they faced today would fuel a determination that would shock the galaxy. For now, though, Earth was the butt of the joke. In bars and lounges across the galactic capital, aliens traded jokes about the primitive humans and their toy spaceships. But somewhere in the grand tapestry of the cosmos, the threads of fate were already shifting. The laughter of today would echo hollow in the years to come, as humanity prepared to show the galaxy what they were truly capable of. The Earth's top military leaders sat around a large oval table. The room was quiet, but the air crackled with tension. General Sarah Chen, head of the Global Defense Force, stood at the front. Her face was grim as she played a video of the Galactic Council meeting. As the alien laughter filled the room, fists clenched and jaws tightened. When the video ended, General Chen spoke. "This is how the galaxy sees us," she said, her voice hard. "Weak, primitive, a joke." Admiral James Torres, commander of Earth's space fleet, slammed his hand on the table. "We'll show them a joke. Our ships might be small, but our hearts are big." Dr. Aisha Patel, lead scientist of the Earth Space Program, raised her hand. "With all due respect, Admiral, heart isn't enough. We need technology that will make the aliens sit up and take notice." The room buzzed with angry mutters. Then, a quiet voice cut through the noise. It belonged to Dr. Victor Novak, an old man with wild white hair and bright eyes. "What if," he said slowly, "we built something they've never seen before?" All eyes turned to Dr. Novak. He stood up, excitement growing in his voice. "Imagine a ship," he continued, "bigger than anything in the galaxy, a dreadnought that could take on entire fleets. Something so advanced, it would make those aliens eat their words." The room was silent for a moment. Then, General Chen smiled. It was a fierce, determined smile. "Dr. Novak," she said, "I think you're onto something. But can we do it? Can we build such a ship?" Dr. Patel jumped in. "It would take years. We'd need to develop new technologies. But yes, I think we could do it." Admiral Torres nodded. "We'd need to keep it secret. If the aliens found out—" "They won't," General Chen said firmly. "This project will be top secret. Only those in this room will know the full details." And so, Project Thunderbolt was born. In secret bases around the world, scientists and engineers began their work. They worked day and night, pushing the boundaries of physics and technology. Dr. Novak led the engine design team. They created a new type of faster-than-light drive, one that could cross the galaxy in days instead of weeks. Dr. Patel's weapons team developed lasers that could cut through the strongest alien shields. Months turned into years. The project faced many challenges. Sometimes it seemed impossible. But every time they remembered the laughter of the aliens, their determination grew stronger. One day, 3 years into the project, a breakthrough came. Dr. Novak burst into General Chen's office, his eyes wild with excitement. "We've done it," he shouted. "The new power core works. It's 10 times stronger than anything the aliens have." General Chen smiled. "Excellent work, Victor. How soon can we start building the ship?" "We can start today," Dr. Novak replied. "But it will take at least 2 more years to finish." And so the construction began. In a hidden shipyard on the far side of the moon, the massive Dreadnought took shape. It was huge, nearly a kilometer long. Its sleek design hid weapons more powerful than entire alien fleets. As the ship grew, so did Earth's other defenses. Smaller ships were built, using some of the new technologies. Pilots trained in secret, preparing for the day they would show the galaxy what humans could do. 5 years after the humiliation at the Galactic Council, General Chen stood in the control room of the completed Dreadnought. She looked out at the stars, her eyes shining with pride. "Send the message," she said to her communication officer. "Tell the Council that Earth is ready to present its new military force." As the message was sent, a cheer went up from the crew. They had worked hard for this moment. Now, they would show the galaxy the true strength of humanity. Little did the aliens know, their laughter had created something they could never have imagined. The humans were coming, and they were bringing thunder with them. The day had finally arrived. 5 years after the humiliation at the Galactic Council, Earth was ready to show its new military force. The council chamber was packed with aliens from across the galaxy. Many had come to laugh again at the primitive humans. Ambassador John Smith stood on the central platform, looking much more confident than last time. He wore a sleek black suit and held his head high. "Honored members of the council," he began, his voice strong and clear. "Earth is proud to present our new flagship, the Terran Fury." He pressed a button on his wrist device. The lights in the chamber dimmed, and a massive hologram appeared above the platform. Gasps of surprise filled the room. The hologram showed a ship unlike anything the aliens had ever seen. It was enormous, easily dwarfing the largest known ships in the galaxy. Its design was sleek and predatory, with smooth lines that hinted at incredible speed. Weapon ports dotted its surface, promising devastating firepower. For a long moment, there was complete silence. Then the chamber erupted in a chaos of voices. "Impossible," shouted Zork, the Glorban representative who had laughed the loudest 5 years ago. "This must be a trick." Zelia of the Luminars floated closer to the hologram, her energy form flickering with curiosity. "The power readings, they're off the charts. How did they achieve this?" John smiled. "I assure you, this is no trick. The Terran Fury is very real, and it's just the beginning of Earth's new fleet." He pressed another button, and a hologram changed. It now showed a fleet of smaller ships, each one still impressive by galactic standards. They surrounded the Terran Fury like escorts. "As you can see," John continued, "Earth has been busy. We've developed technologies that push the boundaries of what's possible. Our ships are faster, stronger, and more advanced than anything in known space." The council members whispered among themselves. Some looked impressed, others worried, and a few seemed angry. Graktho, the rock-like alien, rumbled, "This changes the balance of power in the galaxy. How do we know you won't use these ships against us?" John's face became serious. "Earth seeks peace and cooperation. We built these ships to protect ourselves and our allies. We have no desire for conquest." Suddenly, alarms blared throughout the chamber. A frantic aide rushed to the council leader, whispering urgently in their ear. The council leader stood, their face grave. "We've just received word. The Terran Fury has been detected entering our system. It will be visible from the capital in moments." The chamber erupted in panic. Some council members called for immediate action. Others demanded explanations. John raised his hands, calling for calm. "Please," he said loudly, "there's no need for alarm. We brought the Terran Fury here as proof of our claims. I invite you all to witness its arrival." The council members looked at each other uncertainly. Then, slowly, they began moving towards the large viewing windows that lined one wall of the chamber. As they watched, a point of light appeared in the sky. It grew rapidly, taking shape as it approached. Within minutes, the Terran Fury hung in the sky above the capital, its massive form blocking out the sun. Even from a distance, its size was awe-inspiring. The ship's hull gleamed in the starlight, its weapon ports clearly visible. Small fighter craft zipped around it, showcasing its defensive capabilities. The council chamber was dead silent. Every alien stared at the ship, their previous mockery forgotten. John walked to the window, standing tall as he looked at humanity's greatest achievement. 5 years ago, he said quietly, you laughed at us. You called us primitive. Today, we show you what humanity is truly capable of. We extend our hand in friendship, but make no mistake, we will no longer be underestimated. As the Terran Fury floated silently above, the balance of power in the galaxy shifted. The era of human insignificance was over. A new age had begun, one where humanity would play a central role. And somewhere on that massive ship, Earth's military leaders smiled. Their hard work had paid off. The galaxy would never laugh at humanity again. The Galactic Council was in the middle of a heated debate about Earth's new military power when the alarms went off. Red lights flashed, and a deep, booming voice echoed through the chamber. Emergency, emergency. All council members report to the war room immediately. Panic spread through the aliens as they rushed to follow the order. Earth's ambassador, John Smith, found himself swept along with the crowd. No one tried to stop him. In the war room, a giant holographic map of the galaxy filled the center. Angry red dots were spreading across it like a disease. An alien with tentacles for arms was frantically tapping at controls. It's the Zorgax, he shouted. They've launched a full-scale invasion of the galaxy. Gasps and cries of fear filled the room. The Zorgaks were a warrior race from the outer rim of the galaxy. They were known for their cruelty and advanced technology. No one had ever beaten them in battle. "How many ships?" asked the council leader, trying to stay calm. "Thousands," replied the tentacled alien. "Maybe tens of thousands. They're hitting every major world at once." Reports started flooding in from across the galaxy. The Zorgaks were unstoppable. Their weapons cut through shields like they weren't even there. Whole planets were falling in hours. The council's military commander, a tall, insect-like creature named General Kix, stepped forward. "We must gather our fleets," he buzzed. "Every ship we have. It's our only chance." But as the reports kept coming, hope faded. The combined fleets of the Galactic Council were being crushed. Nothing they had could stand against the Zorgaks' war machines. In the chaos, almost everyone had forgotten about John Smith. He stood quietly in a corner, watching and listening. Finally, he stepped forward. "If I may," he said loudly. The room fell silent, all eyes turning to him. "Earth can help." For a moment, there was no response. Then laughter erupted. It was Zork, the Glorban who had mocked Earth before. "Help," Zork sneered. "What can your one big ship do against thousands of Zorgaks' warships?" John smiled calmly. "The Terran Fury isn't just big," he said. "It's the most advanced warship ever built, and it's not alone. We have a fleet ready to deploy." The council leader looked at John with desperate eyes. "Even if what you say is true," they said, "how quickly can your ships get here? We're losing worlds by the hour." John tapped his communicator. "Admiral Torres," he said, "initiate Operation Thunderbolt." A new voice filled the room, coming from John's communicator. "Understood, Ambassador. The fleet is moving out. We'll reach the nearest battle zones in 30 minutes. Gasps of disbelief filled the room. The nearest battle was several days away at top speed for most ships. "Impossible," shouted General Kix. "No ship can move that fast." John's smile grew wider. "Ours can. And that's just the beginning of what they can do." As if to prove his point, new signals started appearing on the galactic map. Blue dots, moving at incredible speed, heading towards the red Zorgaks fleets. The council watched in awe as the first reports came in. Earth ships, arriving out of nowhere, engaging the Zorgaks. And winning. "This is Admiral Chen of the Terran Fury," a new voice announced. "We've engaged the enemy at Proxima Centauri. Their shields are useless against our weapons, requesting permission to proceed to the next hotspot." One by one, similar reports came in. Earth ships were turning the tide, pushing back the unstoppable Zorgaks fleets. The council chamber was silent, every alien staring at John Smith with new respect and a hint of fear. The council leader stepped forward, their voice shaking slightly. "Ambassador Smith," they said, "it seems we owe you and your people an apology, and our deepest thanks." John nodded graciously. "We're happy to help," he said, "but this war is far from over. The Zorgaks won't give up easily. If we're going to win, we'll need to work together." As the council scrambled to coordinate with Earth's fleet, John Smith stood tall. Humanity had been mocked and underestimated. Now, they were the galaxy's best hope for survival. The real test was just beginning. The massive form of the Terran Fury dropped out of hyperspace near the Rigel system. On the bridge, Admiral Sarah Chen stood calmly, her eyes fixed on the main view screen. What she saw would have terrified most beings in the galaxy. Hundreds of Zorgaks warships filled the space around Rigel's planets. Their black, spiky forms looked like a swarm of angry insects. They were attacking the last defenders of Rigel, a race of peaceful scholars known as the Ridicules. "Status report," Admiral Chen ordered. Her tactical officer, a young man named Lieutenant Wong, responded quickly. "Zorgak's fleet outnumbers us 200 to 1, Admiral. Rigelian defenses are almost gone. They won't last another hour." Admiral Chen nodded. "And our backup?" The rest of the Earth fleet is 5 minutes out, Lieutenant Wang replied. Good, said Chen. Let's introduce ourselves. The Terran Fury moved forward, its massive engines pushing it to speeds that should have been impossible for a ship its size. The Zorgax noticed the newcomer and a group of their ships broke off to intercept. They're firing. Admiral, shouted Lieutenant Wang. The space around the Terran Fury lit up with Zorgax energy weapons. But where these weapons had cut through the strongest shields of other races, they barely made the Fury's defenses flicker. Admiral Chen allowed herself a small smile. Return fire, she ordered. Let's show them what we can do. The Terran Fury's weapon ports glowed, and then beams of pure energy shot out. Each beam struck a Zorgax ship, cutting through their hulls like they were made of paper. In seconds, a dozen Zorgax warships were reduced to floating debris. The Zorgax, for the first time in their long history of conquest, hesitated. Then, as one, they turned their entire fleet towards this new threat. They're coming at us with everything, Admiral, said Lieutenant Wang, a hint of worry in his voice. Good, replied Chen. That's just what we wanted. Just then, alarms blared on the Zorgax ships. Behind them, space seemed to tear open as the rest of the Earth fleet arrived. Sleek destroyers, powerful cruisers, and agile fighters poured out of hyperspace, catching the Zorgax in a perfect trap. All ships, engage, ordered Admiral Chen. Remember your training. These bullies aren't used to a fair fight. What followed was a battle that would be remembered for centuries. Earth ships danced between the larger, clumsier Zorgax vessels. Their advanced weapons pierced Zorgax shields with ease, while Zorgax weapons splashed harmlessly off Earth defenses. On the Terran Fury's bridge, Admiral Chen coordinated the battle like a conductor leading a symphony. She sent ships to rescue stranded Ridicules, ordered precision strikes on Zorgax command ships, and always seemed to be one step ahead of the enemy. The Zorgax fought back fiercely, but for the first time, they were outmatched. Their ships, so terrifying to the rest of the galaxy, were being swatted aside by the human fleet. As the battle raged, news spread quickly. On thousands of worlds, beings huddled around communication devices, listening in awe as humans, the race they had laughed at just days ago, fought back the unstoppable Zorgax. After 3 hours of intense fighting, the space around Rigel was quiet once more. The remaining Zorgax ships, less than a quarter of their original number, fled into hyperspace. On the bridge of the Terran Fury, the crew cheered. Admiral Chen allowed them their moment of celebration before speaking. Good work, everyone, she said. But this is just the beginning. The Zorgax are still out there, and there are more battles to be fought. As if to emphasize her point, a communication came in from Earth. It was General Torres. Excellent work, Admiral, he said. But we got reports of major Zorgax attacks in the Sirius and Betelgeuse systems. How soon can you get there? Admiral Chen looked at her crew. Despite hours of intense battle, she saw only determination in their eyes. Plot a course for Sirius, she ordered. We'll make it in time. As the Earth fleet prepared to jump to hyperspace once more, the message was clear. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, and they were here to stay. The Zorgax, and anyone else who threatened peace in the galaxy, would soon learn to fear the sight of Earth ships arriving in their systems. The battle for the galaxy had only just begun. The war room of the Galactic Council was a hive of activity. Alien representatives from 100 worlds huddled around holographic displays, watching as the tide of battle shifted across the galaxy. At the center of it all stood Admiral Sarah Chen of Earth, her calm presence a stark contrast to the nervous energy around her. The Zorgax have fallen back to their core systems, she announced, her voice cutting through the chatter. It's time for our final push. The alien representatives exchanged uneasy glances. For weeks, they had watched in awe as the human fleet, led by the mighty Terran Fury, had driven back the Zorgax invasion. Now, Earth was proposing something no one had ever dared before. An attack on the Zorgax homeworlds. Zork, The Glorban representative who had once mocked Earth's military spoke up. "But Admiral," he said, his voice trembling slightly, "the Zorgak's home defenses are legendary. No fleet has ever penetrated them." Admiral Chen smiled. It wasn't a happy smile, but one of grim determination. "No fleet like ours has ever tried," she replied. She tapped a control, and the holographic display changed. It showed the combined fleet of Earth and its alien allies, hundreds of ships strong, with the Terran fury at its heart. "We've studied the Zorgak's defenses," Chen continued. "They're strong, but not unbeatable. We have a plan." Over the next hour, Chen laid out the strategy. The alien representatives listened in growing amazement. It was bold, it was daring, and it just might work. As the final preparations were made, word spread through the fleet. Excitement mixed with fear. They were about to make history, one way or another. The jump to the Zorgak's home system was the longest anyone on the fleet had ever attempted. For what seemed like an eternity, they traveled through the swirling chaos of hyperspace. Then, with a flash of light, they arrived. The Zorgak's home system was a fortress. Orbital weapons platforms circled every planet. Minefields drifted in the space between, and at the center of it all, the largest collection of Zorgak's warships ever seen. For a moment, the Allies hesitated. Then, Admiral Chen's voice came over the comm. "All ships, execute Battle Plan Omega. For Earth and for the galaxy." The battle that followed would be remembered for generations. Earth ships led the charge, their advanced shields shrugging off fire that would have destroyed any other vessels. They punched holes in the Zorgak's defenses, allowing their allies to pour through. On the bridge of the Terran Fury, Admiral Chen coordinated the assault. She sent ships darting through gaps in the enemy lines, ordered precision strikes on key targets, and always seemed to be one step ahead of the Zorgak's commanders. The Zorgaks fought back fiercely. Their home fleet was the strongest they had, and they were determined not to fall. The space around their worlds lit up with weapons fire, a deadly light show visible from the surfaces of their planets. For hours, the battle raged. Ships on both sides fell to enemy fire. But slowly, surely, the Allies pushed forward. The Terran fury was everywhere, its massive weapons tearing through Zorgak ships, its impenetrable shields protecting Allied vessels. As the battle entered its 10th hour, Admiral Chen saw her chance. "All ships," she commanded, "focus fire on the Zorgak's flagship." Every ship in the Allied fleet turned its weapons on a single point. The Zorgak's flagship, a behemoth twice the size of the Terran Fury, found itself under attack from all sides. For a full minute it held. Then, with a flash that lit up the entire system, it exploded. A cheer went up across the Allied fleet. The Zorgaks, for the first time in their history, were in disarray. Without their leaders, their formations fell apart. Admiral Chen's voice, tired but triumphant, came over the comm once more. "Push forward," she ordered. "Victory is within our grasp." The Allies surged forward, and the Zorgak's lines crumbled before them. Ship after ship surrendered or fled. Within another hour, it was over. The Zorgaks, the terror of the galaxy, had been defeated. As the dust settled, Admiral Chen looked out at the starfield from the bridge of the Terran Fury. They had done it. Against all odds, humanity had led the galaxy to victory. But Chen knew their work was far from over. The galaxy would need to be rebuilt. Peace would need to be maintained. And Earth, once mocked and underestimated, would be at the center of it all. The tables had turned, and a new era of galactic history was about to begin. The Grand Hall of the Galactic Council was packed. Representatives from every known species in the galaxy had gathered for this historic moment. At the center of attention stood Ambassador John Smith of Earth, looking proud but humble in his formal attire. The council leader, a tall, ethereal being with shimmering skin, stepped forward. Their voice echoed through the chamber. "Today, we gather to honor those who saved us all from destruction," they began, "and to welcome a new power to the highest ranks of our council." A murmur ran through the crowd. Everyone knew what was coming, but hearing it officially still sent a thrill through the assembly. The council leader continued, "Earth, once considered a minor world on the fringes of our community, has proven itself to be a beacon of hope and strength for all of us." Ambassador Smith stood tall as the leader approached him. "In recognition of Earth's pivotal role in defeating the Zorgex threat, and in acknowledgement of the remarkable advancements your people have achieved, we hereby grant Earth a permanent seat on the Galactic High Council." The chamber erupted in applause. Many of the aliens who had once laughed at humans now cheered the loudest. As the noise died down, Ambassador Smith stepped forward to speak. He looked around the room, making eye contact with many of the representatives. "Thank you for this great honor," he began. "Earth accepts this responsibility with humility and determination. We remember well the day, not so long ago, when we stood in this very chamber and faced mockery and disbelief." Several aliens shifted uncomfortably in their seats, remembering their own laughter. Smith continued, "But we do not hold grudges. Instead, we look to the future. A future where all species work together, where we learn from each other and grow stronger as a united galaxy." His words were met with nods of approval and more applause. In the days that followed, the impact of Earth's new status was felt across the galaxy. Trade agreements were revised, cultural exchange programs were established, and many worlds clamored for human technology and expertise. The Terran Fury and its fleet became a symbol of peace and protection. Wherever human ships appeared, they were greeted with cheers and gratitude. Admiral Sarah Chen found herself promoted to Grand Admiral of the Galactic Defense Force, a new organization tasked with maintaining peace throughout known space. Under her leadership, ships from dozens of worlds trained together, learning to work as one. On Earth, celebrations lasted for weeks. Humans everywhere felt a new sense of pride and purpose. Schools added galactic history to their curriculums, and interest in space exploration soared. But it wasn't all easy. With their new status came new challenges. Earth had to quickly adapt to its role as a major galactic power. Diplomats worked tirelessly to build relationships with hundreds of alien cultures. Scientists collaborated with beings whose very existence challenged human understanding of life itself. Through it all, the spirit that had driven humanity to build the Terran Fury continued to push them forward. They faced each new challenge with determination and creativity. 1 year after the defeat of the Zorgax, Ambassador Smith stood once again before the Galactic Council. This time, he was there to propose a bold new initiative, a galaxy-wide effort to explore the unknown regions of space. "We have achieved peace in our time," he said. "Now let us write the next chapter of our history together. Let us push the boundaries of our knowledge and discover wonders yet unknown." The council chamber buzzed with excitement. One by one, representatives stood to pledge their support. As the session ended, Zork, the Glorban who had once been loudest in mocking humans, approached Ambassador Smith. "I owe you an apology," Zork rumbled. "I judged your people too quickly. You have taught us all a valuable lesson." Smith smiled and extended his hand in the human gesture of friendship. After a moment's hesitation, Zork took it. As they shook hands, Smith spoke words that would be remembered for generations to come. "The greatest strength of humanity is not in our ships or our weapons. It's in our ability to learn, to grow, and to bring people together. We're not here to rule the galaxy, but to help it thrive. And we're just getting started." With Earth at the forefront, a new age of galactic cooperation and exploration had begun. The future, once uncertain, now shone bright with promise.